Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first of two December 2025 ZFS leadership meetings. All right. We can start off with the top of the agenda. Mav, did you have any open reviews you wanted to discuss?
Not particularly. I was working on a number of dedupe optimization myself, and some of them got reviewed. And yeah, I think I have few minor ones are open that people could take a look. Maybe not too much to discuss, but please welcome. Out of some interesting that's not merged, pretty small one same time. I made a small change in PR 17970 to increase parallel eviction batching. That makes actually mm, arc eviction much faster when it goes about bigger chunks. I found that previous code was scheduling and waiting for completion of task queue for 10 arc headers per thread, which is kind of expensive approach.
Right.
So with this patch, it should do at least 50 headers, which tests show more reasonable. I still have some weird issue in some scenarios with small arc size when arc tries to evict very few at a time and doesn't use parallel eviction. And I guess that could be investigated for smaller system cases, that systems that smaller but still fast, when arc rotates very fast, and we could still benefit from parallel eviction, but current code doesn't do it. So if somebody wanna play with that, that could be interesting. But otherwise, please, anybody welcome to take a look on that PR. It's not too big. That's trivial. It's trivial. I still have one more DDT optimization. I have told I had several done previously, primarily oriented on reducing DDT log contention, which is global per system and so expensive. So a couple of PRs already landed. I have one more PR to make DDT log search to be done out of any locking. I haven't committed it. I haven't created PR yet, but patch is mostly ready. But I found some odd artifacts. As soon as I apply all of my optimization, I start seeing some weird kernel panics, which don't seem to be tied to any specific PR, which makes me nervous about what may be hiding there. So I plan to return to it later this week and hopefully then fix both same time and publish then. But yeah, otherwise it seems to be, again, interesting round of optimization for dedupe. It should hopefully get better.
Alan Summers, did you have a specific topic you wanted to discuss?
I did. I want to discuss PR 17418, the DB mutex locking PR.
Mhm.
The last issue on this PR is is just a debug function. The function that is check audits a lock pointer, and the question that remains is it safe to examine that DB data field when we don't have the lock on it? And if not, we can just change the code that says only audit this field if we already hold the lock. Line 4732 in dbuff.c.
Okay. Right, so this is in the one of the
Which line you
verify
said?
functions. You said it was line 471?
Nope, sorry, that's the wrong line. Hang on, let me go back. It's a big PR.
Right.
Loading. Ah, shoot. I wonder if my comment got transposed into the wrong function somehow.
Looks like it was on a different line than before. But this is a change to the assert DB data contents locked.
That's where the comment is, but I think it's supposed to be the caller of that line is where the
Ah,
comment is supposed to go. Debuff verify user. There it is.
okay.
Wait, is it? No, debuff verify.
Right.
So the vicinity of line 1249. Yeah.
As I commented before about debuff verify, I think it's a very special case that accesses debuffs that should never be modified, and as such, it's a very special case of locking, or special case of doesn't require any locking.
Well,
And
what guarantees it the buffer can't be modified?
no, that's actually what this code verifies. It verifies that all buffer is zeros, and so data cannot be modified.
Does that follow? Why is the data not modifiable because it's all zeros?
So it tracks that we won't lose any data written there, and it relies on the fact that buffer it's looking on its state and that lack of block pointer and other factors. I don't remember right now out of my head, uh, but idea is that if we have some buffer that's been modified by somebody, but it has no block pointer and it's not going to be written, that somebody modified it for no reason and data will be lost. So that's debuff verify checks that if buffer is in that state, then it's really zeros. So
Yeah, there's
it's
like
actually
a comment on line 1206. If the block pointer isn't set, but we have non-zero data, we better be marked as dirty. Otherwise, we'll throw the data away when we evict the buffer. There's one exception to this rule for indirect blocks. If the indirect block is a hole, we fill in a few fields on each of the child blocks, like the birth time, to prevent whole birth times from being lost when you partially fill a hole. But yeah, if we have data but no block pointer and it's not marked as dirty, then this data would get thrown away when the buffer is evicted because it's not marked as dirty, so it's not going to get written out, but it's not all zeros, so there was actually data here that we should have caught.
So it's it's not dirty, so it's not going to get written out. But how does that ensure that no other thread is going to put data into it and dirty it?
That's not what this function is just called to make sure the debuff is valid. And if it has data but isn't dirty, but doesn't have a block pointer to back it, then that's invalid. And so it just asserts.
Yeah, but if it's not marked as dirty, we verify that it's full of zeros.
Right.
But what's to keep some other thread from dirtying it while we're verifying that it's full of zeros?
I see it asserts dbmtx, the first line.
Yeah, 1122.
Okay, so the dbmtx is held. But didn't we decide elsewhere that we can modify DB data even without holding dbmtx?
We first should make it dirty if we're gonna write anything. And it's not dirty.
And you would need the MTX lock to change the dirty field, right?
I think so. The question here was whether it requires dbrvlock, as I understand. And dbrvlock is a very special case used to protect only block pointers, effectively block pointers. And since we don't really care whether this block is block pointers, that's another reason why I think it's not really applicable here. Here we're just looking, okay, this is a any arbitrary blocks that if it's not dirty, then it must be zero. We don't care whether it's zero of block pointers, zero of non-block pointers, really. Maybe just to have different assertions to be nicer, but it should be zero anyway.
So you're saying it can't be modified because the DB mutex is held, and any thread that will modify it must get the DB mutex first in order to set the dirty bit,
Yep.
theoretically. Although I'm not sure that we can be certain that's the case. But okay, I accept your argument. But now we do need to kind of audit that whole other case, make sure there's nobody whoever modifies it without first setting the dirty bit.
We've never seen this be asserted as far as I know. So I guess we can trust that for now. I think it's like getting out of scope of this PR.
Well,
While
we had never seen this in-memory corruption before either until we started seeing it every week.
yeah, as I've told, I saw myself some weird potentially memory corruption with dedupe. Who knows? Maybe we'll meet
No.
somewhere in the middle.
Okay, so action item, I will audit every place that writes to DB data and verify that it's either not changing the DB dirty bit or it is acquiring the DB mutex. And then we'll merge this PR without checking the DB RW lock and debuff verify. Is that correct?
Yeah,
That
I think there
sounds
was some more comments below, and from me and from somebody else, are all those responded? I don't remember. It's been a while.
Paul Daniel found I accidentally committed a stray file, but I reverted that.
And I think there was more than one comment, but well, yeah, just take a look through. I don't remember.
Yeah.
Yeah, the other one was passing false instead of the reader or writer flag to the lock.
Yeah, I think I reverted that already.
I think so. Do you have a more reliable reproducer for this yet?
Unfortunately, no.
Okay.
We've tried, but we can't reproduce it on the
Mhm.
bench. It only happens in production, and it's a very complicated workload.
Yeah.
There's no ZFS encryption, and there's no dedupe. Those are the usual bugbears.
Yeah, as I told, in my case, I wasn't sure it's even caused by dedupe, but I wasn't sure exactly by what. I was getting some crashes inside Zap, but Zap locking seems to be okay also. So I'm not exactly sure where, but I just got distracted by other job. I will return to it and look again. But I think I saw once or twice some assertions that Zap label whatever was zero was incorrect. So maybe it was some memory being freed or something incorrectly. That's what made me think about debuff life cycle, but it may be not related. So far, just feeling level.
Okay, well, that's all I have for that PR.
Did you have any other topics you wanted to touch on?
Nope.
Okay. Did anyone else have topics they wanted to raise? Uh, Clara, we have at least three pending reasonably sized reviews that we'd like to get more eyeballs on. The first is the changes to the Metaslab weighting. So this is lost the link to it now. Well, this is changes we made to how we sort the metaslabs to more reliably pick the better one. And with the change, we saw some definite improvements, especially fewer gang blocks being created by basically being able to find the space that is there and not have to resort to ganging as early. And yeah, I would like to have more discussion around those and be able to maybe move forward there because especially when you're writing larger blocks like 1 meg or 4 meg or even bigger, you can very quickly run the metaslabs out of large contiguous bits of space, and then you run into cases where trying to do a TXG sync can take multiple seconds as it's spending all of its time shuffling through metaslabs trying to find the right one. And when it's sorting them badly, it tries all the ones that aren't actually going to be useful first. And it really helps get the amount of time it takes to do the transaction down. And again, like I said, reducing the total number of gang blocks and especially the multi-blocks. And those can really make a big difference for throughput as well. The next one was one we discussed quite a bit at the developer summit was the large label design. Paul's been working on the follow-up improvements based on our conversations at the dev summit to change how we do the Uber block ring to make sure we're not doing excessive amounts of work there. And incorporating Alexander's very useful feedback on that. But if anybody else has feedback there, we'd be very interested in that. And then the last one is the first PR for any RAID. I understand that one only does mirroring and is not quite as interesting, but we're actively working on the RAID Z version, and it'd be helpful to have any feedback on the general design and especially the on-disk format for the tile mapping and so on before we get too much further in the RAID Z implementation. So it'd be really helpful to have some feedback there to get any design changes in before we base the next version of the feature on top of it. It was interesting to see that there might be not just enthusiast use cases for any RAID, having that flexibility even if for regenerating hard drives where you'll lose one head. Suddenly the idea of having that extra flexibility seems very interesting. And if we can support RAID Z on top of it, which looks like we're most of the way there, then suddenly it becomes very interesting. And we're even looking at the possibility, although it might be slightly complicated because of where we need to store the maps, of even being able to do an in-place conversion of an existing RAID Z into an any RAID Z. So that then over time, blocks of it could be reshuffled to deal with, a failing head or other similar things where it would make sense. And thanks to everyone who has so far put in their preferred meeting times so that we can, as I plan out the meetings for 2026, we can use that in there. Looks like the kind of later slot that we have been using will definitely stay. And then we're just picking where to do the alternate slot and maybe at what frequency to do that alternate slot. Because as we see, the slot tends to get not as many people as the later one. And so making sure more of our meetings are the later one and seeing what else makes sense. But I encourage everyone to get their times in there so that we can start getting the rest of the series mapped out. Did anyone have any other topics they wanted to discuss?
Amir, would you like to bring attention to your PR? We fight a number of issues related to snapshot mounting and mounting. Again, a couple PRs already merged, but one is still in review. So some more eyes could be.
So last month, our production team found the deadlock on auto mount snapshot, and there were like three separate issues there, and two are already merged, and one I just updated, and would be nice if there can be more eyes on that. So yeah.
It's 17.943.
Yep.
What was that number?
17.943. I put it in the doc as well. So this adds a new mutex to the snap entry.
Yeah, so previously what was happening is that if there are like two processes racing for auto mounting, both of them were trying to add the AVL entry, and second one actually gets the assert. So yeah.
So the assert was basically that the entry isn't unique.
Yeah, entry was already present, but second process already trying to add the entry with the same mount point for the auto mount.
So we ended up with two mounts at the same time for same snapshot in same point, but then ended up with attempt to insert duplicate AVL entry.
And AVL add starts with an assert that the entry you're trying to add isn't already on the list.
Yeah. But also multiple mounts for same mount point are weird and wrong, and new patch with that additional mutex should serialize those to make others than the first to wait. Because it's surprising that Linux kernel in some cases enforce unique mounts, in other cases it doesn't. So we ended up enforcing it ourselves.
Yeah, actually the APIs that we could use are GPL, so we have to rely on mount, and the behavior of the mount system call is actually not deterministic. So yeah.
So I see the patch removes the snapshot is mounted function. Is that just because all the consumers are gone now, or?
No, that actually was used only to check if AVL entry was exist and
Okay.
only was used on one place.
Right. Yeah. So if there's one in flight, we wait and return success instead of ebusy?
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
but because by the time we return, it's indeed success.
Right.
Or
Okay.
actually, it may. I wonder what if it's failure. Should we also report error there to everybody who was waiting? Probably we should. I don't. I don't know. I wonder.
Yeah. It looks like if the previous one was yeah, might wonder about the
Maybe after waiting, if we see that it was successfully mounted, we could return 0. But if not, return some abstract TBC to make it retry. At least it will not retry immediately.
yeah, something like that. But yeah, otherwise this seems to make sense. Were there any other open pull requests that we needed to look at or draw attention to? I guess we don't have Tony today to talk about his -VV thing, although you were also working on that, right, Alan? ZPL status -VV that would include the byte ranges or block ranges of the corrupt blocks in the error list?
My version includes the block ranges, but not the byte ranges. Tony Hutter was working on a version that includes byte ranges.
Okay. Yeah, I think he subsumed yours into his, and depending on the number of V's, you maybe get both now or something.
I think Tony's just gives byte ranges.
Okay.
But block ranges is adequate for my purposes. So I was just kind of hoping that, well, Tony would make it work for his, and I don't have to worry about it anymore.
Yes.
Because his version is a lot more complicated.
Ah.
I think it needs a new ioctal.
Ah. Okay. Yeah, I think the only problem with block ranges is we don't specify the block size of the file in the output, right? So you have a mix of record sizes or something. It could be
well, but you can't
weird
have a
units
mixed
list
block
numbers
size in one file.
in one file. Yes, but like if you have multiple files in a data set and they each give block ranges, but those block ranges are actually different sizes because the record size was different at different times, that could
that would be
cause
confusing.
a problem. Yeah. So I can see why byte ranges would be more useful, but if it's a lot more complicated, then I'll have to take a closer look at Tony's version and see. And that looks like most of the most interesting pull requests. Was there anything else that we should cover today? All right, then. Thanks, everyone. And we'll see you in 4 weeks on December 30th if you happen to be around. I don't know what attendance will look like on that one, but and then I'll get the schedule for January sorted out and pushed to everybody.
Okay. Thanks, Alan.
Yep.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone.